Okay, as we continue with looking at the broader aspects of Louisiana, we're going to look at the cultural regions in Louisiana. There are 5 cultural regions, and as you can see here, we look at the Sportsman's Paradise, which is in the north, the Crossroads, which is in the center of the state, kind of acting as a buffer zone that brings together the strong north culture of Louisiana with the strong, more southern culture of Louisiana. So we see Sportsman's Paradise here. We see the Crossroads here. We look at Cajun country, which is all along the south of Louisiana, with the exception of the land that is directly south of the city of New Orleans and southeast of New Orleans. As well, we look at the greater New Orleans area here, everything north, south, and somewhat west and east of Lake Pontchartrain. And then here we see our area where we live and where for the most part our families live in plantation country. Okay, looking at the 5 regions here, which one do we live in? Most will call right here our home. All right, continuing. Sportsman's Paradise, it is located in Upland South. If you remember back to your definition of Upland South, this is the area that most resembles not southern Louisiana, but it resembles more of Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. It represents and characterizes the South, but just not that strong, distinct Cajun aspect of the South like southern Louisiana is. It's known for its hunting and its fishing. In addition, in the northwest, you have it's urban city, Shreveport, Bossier City, and then towards the northeast, you have West Monroe, Monroe and West Monroe. These are joined by a bridge across the Washita River, and both are in Washita Parish. So here we have Sportsman's Paradise. Key things to pull out of this is huge with its recreations. So one way to categorize this is its strong sense of recreations. Remember, fishing, hunting, bass tournaments are huge in this area. You can see here a very serene picture of the lake in North Louisiana. And in the center of our great state, we have the Crossroads. The Crossroad region of the state merges the cultures of the north and also the strong Cajun cultures of the south. So it helps to merge these 2 cultures together. So it's kind of like a buffer zone. Its cities are Shreveport, Bossier City. The cities are Alexandria and Pineville. We have Alexandria, Pineville, also along the Red River. In Rapids Parish, this area is very rural or very country area. Okay, we see some images here that kind of help to categorize the Crossroads area. A lot of towns that are just kind of spread out throughout the Crossroads, the country area. Beautiful to drive through. See some pictures here. Old red barn, long since abandoned. Okay, here we look at the Cajun country region. This is the area that most categorizes Louisiana outside of the state. We see the images here. Some stuff that looks probably very familiar to us. Cajun country itself spreads over a triangle in southwest Louisiana. Within this region, the culture can further divide into prairie Cajun and wetlands Cajun. So the wetlands Cajun then is going to be your areas that you would see on TV, or if you go out that way, or if you do any kind of recreation out that way, that would be like your swamp areas, And then you have your prairie country, which is what it's going to just look like, open country fields. The National Park Service Center features the prairie culture in Eunice, Acadia Parish, and wetlands culture in Thibodaux. On the prairie, the Cajun culture centers on agriculture and livestock, while the wetland culture for the Cajuns centers on fishing and trapping. So here with the swamps, you have fishing. We looked at trapping. Kind of redirect my arrows a little bit. We're solid. There we go. And in the country, this is more your agriculture, which I think it just used that one word. Agriculture. Okay. Oh, and livestock. That was the other one. So some things that define the ways of life out this way. The life continues today, but new economic developments such as the oil industry have brought cultural changes as well. Urban centers in Cajun country include Houma and Lafayette, Morgan City, Thibodaux. Lake Charles is also included in the Cajun country region, but shares some cultural characteristics with neighboring Texas. So out this way, which, I mentioned Lake Charles, which is somewhere right up in here, has more in common with Texas, mostly just because those cultural areas so close together, and sometimes state boundaries don't stop those cultures from sharing those similar aspects. And it continues just talking about how it's modernized with fast food restaurants, etc. Okay, something close to home here. We have the plantation country region. Old plantation homes was characterized by their live oak trees, Spanish moss, symbols of our region. So common symbols of our region. We have these oak trees, Spanish moss, and plantation homes. Let's see. Looking at the images here, we see these beautiful oaks, plantation. I can't quite identify which one that is or which one this is. Here we go. Below, we have the Bocage Plantation in Darra, and the Porlang Plantation in New Roads. Have not been to those two. Baton Rouge is our urban center, and we're characterized by the plantations. Okay, that one's fairly simple. It's an area that we live in. Some spotlights here, just talking about out in New Roads. This is a home from 1750, a French home, if I remember right. Let's see. Let's see, why am I not seeing this? Queen Parish, historic house. Yeah, French colonial days. So you can see what kind of life would have been like in 1750 right here. Okay, continuing. Right here talks about museums, and that's going to be something we look at in detail when we talk about tourism in Louisiana. Greater New Orleans region. Of course, its urban center is going to be the city of New Orleans. Known worldwide, often seemed like another world to visitors, even those from other parts of Louisiana. It's often described as cosmopolitan, an American city that is more like a European one. A busy part of the Mississippi River exists alongside an exotic historic district. A walk through the French Quarter reminds the tourists of Louisiana's past. Largest city in the state is sometimes described as having more in common with the Caribbean and South America. Very interesting here, having more in common with the Caribbean and South America than with the rest of the United States. The relaxed atmosphere of the tropics replaces the bustle of Boston. Very cool here, a very photographed section of New Orleans there in the French Quarter with its lacy balconies. Okay, pushing forward. Other regional labels. We see here ornamental fences, that's featured in the Garden District of New Orleans. One of our architectural features here that's kind of known throughout the world, the style used there. And then below here we have the New Hope Chapel at Acadian Village in Lafayette. I have not gone to that one. Other regional labels, cultural regions are not mandatory boundaries on a map, so these are things to keep in mind as we look at cultural regions. So these regional labels, they are not mandatory. Oh, won't let me draw my line. Probably pop up in a second. There we go. Unlike the parish lines, they are set by law. Regions can change. So parish lines are set by law. You know, where Essentia Parish begins and ends, that's set by law. But regions can change and can have different labels. People of many backgrounds live in each area of the state, and variations can be found in every community. Some people divide the state into 3 regions. Some people just divide into North Louisiana, South Louisiana, and New Orleans. Others say that South Louisiana should be divided into New Orleans, Acadiana, and the Florida parishes. The part of the state in the toe of the boot is called the Florida parishes because it was once part of the colony of West Florida. That's something we'll look at when we start looking at the history of our state, colony of West Florida. This region was settled by people more like their neighbors in North Louisiana than those in New Orleans and Acadiana. This right here wasn't part of the original Louisiana purchase. It was purchased later. Whatever regional divisions are used, whatever regional divisions are used, it is important to know that the cultural histories of North Louisiana and South Louisiana have been very different. These differences are no longer as great as they once were, but they still affect social, political, and economic situations. Okay, and in the next section, we will continue looking at some of the broader aspects of Louisiana.